Okay. I've been trying Alani lately because apparently that's the thing to do. This one is Orange Kiss. I've not tried it before. I've tried Cosmic and I've tried the, what was the other one? I didn't really love it, the Breezeberry one. That one was like kind of like a blue raspberry kind of thing. I wasn't a huge fan of that one. So we'll see. Let's see how this one goes. Okay, I like this one. Yeah. This is good. This is good. This is like Orange Crush basically. Better because it has more caffeine. Okay, I could sit here all day and drink this. This is like... very good. So today we're going to talk about some unhinged books. We have Bullies. We have Morley Gray heroes, Morley Black heroes, Morley Gray heroines. Do we have any Morley Black heroines? I'm not sure. I have to look over my list again. But we have some crazy things. We have bonkers plots. We just have some crazy stuff in here, okay guys? We have some crazy, unhinged, ridiculously bonkers stuff, okay? Now that's not to say these books are all like goofy. Like a lot of them are quite serious. A lot of them are deeper. A lot of them like can be pretty hard hitting too. For all of these books, please check your trigger warnings if you need to, because these all have triggers and a lot of them have basically they have all of the triggers. Guys, what is wrong with my lighting? This room sometimes. Okay, I don't know. That is so good. These books are in no particular order. I've got dark romance and I've got fantasy romance, and obviously most of the fantasy romance is like dark fantasy romance or bully fantasy romance. I've kind of like switched off. So it'll go like dark romance, fantasy romance. You get the gist. We're gonna start with some recent reads and then kind of go to my backlist. I definitely have some more recent reads that have been super unhinged. Why? Because apparently I'm in a mood. I'm in some kind of mood. I want the guys to be crazy. I want the girls to be crazy. I want the situations to be crazy. I just want to see how bonkers can this get, you know? The first one actually had a major impact on me, okay? This one is The Sinner by Chantal Tessier. Is it Tessier? I think so, yeah. Tessier. Okay, Chantal Tessier. This one is a dark, very, very dark book. Just like I said, all of these check the trigger warnings, but this one was definitely the darkest book I've ever read in my life. I feel like everything just looks yellow. I'm still trying to figure out my camera. Let's try that. Oh, that's good. Okay guys, is that better? I think we're better. Okay. Well, I'm not redoing the intro. This is better from this view. I'm still trying to figure out the best like settings on my camera right now. Okay, anyway. So the first one we're going to talk about is Chantal Tessier, and that's The Sinner. Now, I have read The Ritual, which I also gave 5 stars. I super enjoyed that one. These books are about this secret society, and they are all going to this college, and basically the men, the guys who are being initiated into the society, they become like trained assassins. They have to be celibate for the first 3 years of university, and then they are given like a chosen one their senior year, and they basically can do anything they want to their chosen one. It's, yeah. The guys in this book are all fully unhinged, morally black. They're all psychotic basically. They're fairly psychotic, and Sin in this one is fully deranged, like fully deranged. But so is Ellington, but Ellington has been abused, okay? And I mean all of the abuse. One day, this masked man comes in and unalives her father. That masked man then plays with her and then proceeds to come in regularly throughout the next many years and play with her. He's not realized at this time that he's actually like helped her through a really dark period in her life. Anyway, fast forward to Sin's senior year, and he is obsessed with Ellington, and he decides to make her his. So this book is fully unhinged. This book is terrifying at times. It has a lot of extreme BDSM in it, okay? So just a heads up on that one. I can't really talk too much about this because I feel like that would be a spoiler, but it's so flipping good, and it is definitely not for everyone. Like for me, I felt like almost a little bit of like healing from this book because there are things about the heroine that I fully related to. Not to say, if you've read this book, not to say that extreme, okay? We're just gonna say there are just some things that I felt healed from and really like, I don't know, really hit me hard in this book. They really hit me hard. And Sin is not a hero. He's not a hero. First of all, okay, he's not a hero. He's a villain. He's not a main character that you really agree with a lot of the time. Like, he does bad things continuously to the heroine throughout the book. Like, not even just like in the beginning or something. Like, this is like throughout the whole book. Bad things are happening and have happened, and we're having flashbacks of them having happened to Ellington. And there's a lot of things that you see on page that are just pretty horrific. But it's also a 5 on the spice level because there's also a lot of like spicy scenes between like her and Sen. I don't know how to even explain this book because it's so unbelievably unhinged. We've got a morally black villain male main character, a totally effed up female main character, and we just have a crazy effed up plot. It starts out very slow, so just know that going in. This takes at least probably 200 pages to get going. It's a 600-page book. It's very rarely that I will accept a 600-page or even like 500-page plus contemporary romance because that's just not my thing, guys. It's not my thing, usually. But for dark romances, it can work. Chantal Tessier makes it work. Like, her books are kind of long, but I really enjoy them. I will be continuing on in the series. It wasn't on my series list for 2025, but it was a series I'm technically, like, I had started and I want to continue on. But you can definitely read this series out of order. So the first book is The Ritual. The second book is The Sinner. And then there's like 6 books total, I believe, so far, but I think she's actually coming out with at least one more. You can definitely read these out of order. They all take place actually at the same time. Don't really get spoiled for things. You can definitely like read whichever out of order, however you want to read them. Sinner is definitely darker than The Ritual, though The Ritual is quite dark as well. But The Sinner is definitely like darker than The Ritual. So if you read The Ritual, then you know that that's pretty dark. Okay, let's move on because I was on that one for a while. Okay. Let's move on to How Does It Feel? This is by Janine O'Reilly, and this is a fantasy romance. This also has a morally black villain as the hero. He is the head prince of the Unseelie Fae. Our heroine is like a scientist and she falls through a portal on accident. It takes like 60 pages for that to happen, so I felt the first 60 pages of this book were quite boring. But eventually she does fall through a portal and he thinks she is an assassin sent to unalive him. And so he puts her through the ringer. He puts her in prison, and there is an SA that happens in prison from a terrifying thing. I don't know what to call that thing, but it's a beast? A monster. It's not, it's like a gross tree, dirt, yuck. It's not good, guys. It's not good. It's not a good scene. Like, after that, things still are pretty bad for the heroine, actually. They're pretty bad. This book is completely unhinged, okay? And the hero is morally black, and he, like, doesn't accept ever, basically, that she's not an assassin sent to kill him, but he still falls in love with her. She's like, listen, I'm a scientist, dude. I'm a scientist. Like, I literally, I'm into moths. I'm into butterflies. That's it. But it definitely gives like those dirty, gritty, almost like Fortuna Sworn type of vibes, but even darker, much darker than Fortuna Sworn. It's bonkers. Next is a book that I just read for my novellas for the New Year readathon I did with my Patreon. And this was the last book that I read for the readathon, and it was so good. I'm actually currently reading the second book. I just started it today. So this is a cartel romance. It's called Passion and Venom by Shinora Williams, or S. Williams. She goes by both names, but this one is actually like S. Williams, I guess. But this is a cartel romance. It's mafia romance with the cartel, but she is born in some Italian mafia, and I don't know if it was like American Italian or if it was like Italy Italian, I don't know, but she is having her beautiful wedding day with the love of her life, and when they're off to their honeymoon, they are attacked on the road, and he is unalived, and she is taken hostage. Okay, she's taken hostage, and she ends up in a prison of sorts, and I guess a lot of these books start out like that. I don't know what to say. But she's a captive, and he, the head of this like cartel, the big head honcho, like takes her out of the jail when he realizes who she is. And he's like, y'all don't realize this is so-and-so's daughter. Like, he was freaking out. Like, he didn't know, like, he knew they like unalived this person and then took the wife captive, but they didn't know who the wife was. And then they realized it's this like really big mob boss's daughter, and they're like, takes her out, and he's like, okay, we'll treat you a little bit better, but not really, because he basically turns her into his slave. Okay, he turns her into his, you know what I'm saying? And he already has a different one too. And then there's stuff with them, and things go awry so quickly. But the two of them have this undeniable attraction to each other. They're just like unfortunately obsessed with each other. But it is bleak. So there is a lot of like CNC. There is non-con. There's dubious consent and CNC between the hero and the heroine. Technically kind of a non-con scene too. I guess I would say that's non-con. And then there's also a non-con scene. There's just everything. There's everything. So just know going in, this is going to be a very dark book. A very dark book. It's also action-packed. It's fast-paced. It's fun in terms of like how fast-paced and plot-driven, and just stuff happens, okay? And it is bloody. Like, they are violent people, okay? They are violent. And we have a Morley Gray heroine, okay? Which is super fun. I love that. A Morley Gray heroine is like, yes. So I had so much fun with this one. I highly recommend it if you are looking for more mafia romance, or you've never tried cartel romance. It's a lot of fun. Another recent obsession of mine, okay, is Jasmine Mass. I read the whole first trilogy in the Psycho Shifters like series. So it's like a 6-book series with 2 trilogies. Each trilogy follows a different group couple, and it's white shoes, and it's a bully white shoes, okay? And it's unhinged, both between the plot and the way some of the, especially one of the heroes, but like multiple of the heroes really, they are quite unhinged, and they treat her like not good. So we have our heroine who is born in the shifter realm, and she thinks she's not a shifter, but she finds out after she's been abused for years and years and years by like her owner that she's an alpha, and that's like not heard of. So she's an alpha shifter. So she gets taken to the front because they're at war with the Fae. She gets taken there to this like war setting to train with the other alphas and the betas too that are there fighting this war. And the 3 alphas there are like, you're not an alpha. There's no way. You're too tiny and scrawny. Ain't no way. Well, she has to go through training with them. She is bullied by them. She has to share a room with them. This book also has a lot of triggers. So there's the bullying. There's also like an attempted SA at least once. There's lots of abuse. There's just all sorts of stuff going on. So it's very dark, but it's so good and it's addictive. Like, I flew through that series. It's so much freaking fun. I cannot wait to get to the second trilogy, which I think might be even darker than the first one. Talk about Unhinged. We have to talk about the Mind F series by St. Abbey. I'm sure you've heard of this because it's so popular. The author is now deceased, but she wrote under a pen name, she wrote this Mind F series. The first book is called The Risk, but it's 5 novellas. The first one being called The Risk. And it's about this serial unaliver female, the female main character. She's a serial unaliver. She is on this revenge mission for the wrongs that have been done to her. And she actually ends up running into the agent. He's basically like Criminal Minds. He's like a behavior analyst for like the FBI. And he is in charge of her case. He wants to know who the serial killer is, and he's looking for her or him. They don't know yet. But she ends up, like, they end up falling in love with each other, and it's a romance between the serial unaliver and the FBI agent that is researching her case, like, that is trying to find her. So it's super unhinged. You see her do super crazy stuff. I have only read the first 3 books in the series. I do need to finish it out. I just keep forgetting to do it, but whatever. It's so unhinged. It's also very fun. Like if you're a fan of Criminal Minds, check this one out. It is bonkers. Okay, let's talk about a paranormal, dark paranormal romance, Her Soul to Take by Harley LaRue. I need to continue on with the series. I softened up the second book, but I want to retry it. There's also a third book, but this first one is about this girl. She is a YouTuber and she likes looking into hauntings. And so she goes back to her hometown and she accidentally summons a demon. She's also got this this witchy cult after her. They're out to get her. And there's just all kinds of bonkers things going on. There's this spell book that like causes all kinds of trouble. There's a university setting. Then I said like there's a demon, and the demon and her get up to some crazy things. Like the two of them. So hot. Just thinking about the scenes in that book makes my mouth dry. So if you're looking especially like it almost is like super dark adult Twilight fan fiction. It's set in the Seattle, like Washington type area. So it's super rainy and dark and gloomy. And it's a perfect book to read in autumn because it's got the cult. It's got a demon. It is set like in the woods, like she's living in this cabin in the woods. It is like a horror, but it's a romance at the same time. So it's really dark, really steamy, like 5 chili peppers on the spice scale, and it's fully unhinged. Like it's totally unhinged. Okay, next let's talk about one of my all-time favorite mafia authors, and that is Mila Finelli. She writes amazing Italian and now set in America mafia romance. But this book that I'm going to talk about right now is a book 1 in a duology. It's Mafia Mistress, and it is the first book in this duology that's part of this actual whole like Kings of Italy series. It's about the oldest daughter of this mafia like kingpin dude in Canada. I think maybe it's Toronto. And she is supposed to marry this dude's son that's in the how do you say it? Androgynous? Androgynous? How do you say that? Androgynous. In the Italian mafia. She is supposed to marry this dude's son. Well, he comes to pick her up. The dad comes to try to take her, finds out that she's sleeping around and stuff like that. And he takes her back to Italy, but then realizes that she is gonna be like perfect for him. Like he's like, no, I'm keeping her. She's too perfect. My son can find someone else. This one's mine. So it is an age gap fiance's dad romance. It's captive to forced marriage, arranged marriage, forced into an arranged marriage. Like it is so good, so spicy. Definitely like 5 again, at least maybe 4.5 to 5 on the chili pepper scale, but it's also fully unhinged. Like these two at each other, I can't even like. No. And then the ending, like the first book you have to know ends on a cliffhanger. So you like really want to read the second book in this duology to find out what happens next with this couple. So it's good. The rest of the book in that series, each couple has their own standalone, but this is the only one that's like a duology for a couple. Okay, next I have the Zodiac Academy. I feel like everyone knows about this one. This is a super famous series. It's about these 2 sisters. They are twins. They are growing up in the human world, and then one day they find out they are fae. Not only are they fae, but they are fae royalty. They get sent to the Zodiac Academy in the fae realm in Solaria, and they are bullied by these 4 heirs who think they are going to be taking over the kingdom because these 2 princesses have been gone for 18 years, but really they are alive. And so they have to fight to survive at Zodiac Academy. They have to learn how to use their magic, and they have to deal with these bullies. Well, there are many romances in this series, but the plot in and of itself is fully unhinged. There is the bullying, and that part is definitely unhinged too, but the plot also, just how ridiculous everything is in this series, it's definitely the lightest, I think, on this list. And I mean, it is a bully romance, true, and yes, these men or boys, whatever, they do some awful things to the heroines in this series. They just do some awful things, but still I would say probably the lightest on this list. And it's so much fun. It's a very long series. It's definitely an investment if you want to get into it, but I definitely would say it's still Unhinged. And probably the darkest, we're going from the lightest to the darkest on this list, is Enthralled by Gianna Darling. So this is the first book in a duet. I have not read the second book yet, but this is the Enslaved duet. We have a heroine. Once again, this is like a mafia type of romance, but it's kind of like it is and it isn't. Like her family's in the mafia, like her dad, but the hero is like a whole different situation. And he is, I think, British? I don't know. But she's Italian. Like, and I think it's like Sicilian mafia, maybe? It's been like a year since I've read this, but she is taken by him. And I think she's actually sold. Like, legit sold to him. It's a master-slave relationship, okay? This is not even a dom-sub kind of situation. It's fully master-slave. And she doesn't sign up for this. Like, this is not something that she has signed up for. No, she's sold. So this is very dark. There are non-con scenes. There's dubious scenes. There's CNC. There is abuse. There's basically so much happening in this one that is fully unhinged. And you are also like, wow, these characters are fully unhinged. And you just, it's like a mind F. Like, it messes with your head the whole time. Kind of like The Sinner. The Sinner messes with your head the whole time too. And so does this one. But I do want to go back. I just needed a break. I need to read the second book in the series. But please, if you are going to read this, oh God, please do some research because it is so, so dark. Just so dark. But it's also just so interesting and captivating. Let's talk about a book that I don't think I've really talked about on my channel before. This is Taming Their Maiden, and this is by Demi Lane. This is a erotic, let's call it erotic story. Okay, not story, like it's a book. I think it's full length, but it's Why Choose? But this is also captor captive. Like, she's not choosing this, and it is more close to a master-slave relationship, okay? And this is, it kind of has Omegaverse vibes, but I don't know that it is actually Omegaverse. I can't remember that part. But it's set in this world where women are kind of like sold off. It's kind of fantasy because these men, they're, I don't know how to say this, they're eggplants. I think it's like them, and they're almost like Berserker-like. But if it was just their eggplants are Berserker. Does that make sense? No? No? Okay. They're giant. They become giant. This book is fully unhinged. Okay. It's definitely got non-con, dub-con, CNC. It's got kind of fantasy romance elements, kind of, they're like Berserker-y. The magic is their eggplants, okay? That is the part about them that shifts. That's all I'm gonna say. I can't say anything else about this one, guys. It is definitely like dark and unhinged. Fully dark, fully unhinged. I don't really hear anyone talking about it, but if you want to read a fully dark, fully unhinged Why Choose book with a master-slave relationship with CNC and dubcon and non-con, then try this one. I don't know what else to say about that. What do I say about that? I don't know. I don't know. Okay, guys, I hope you guys liked this video. I hope you had fun with me talking about some unhinged, dark, villain gets the girl kind of books. I hope you guys had fun with this. If you did, don't forget to click the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Make sure to leave me some recommendations down below in the comments because I love getting recommendations from you. Until next time, fellow readers, keep reading and living your best life. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away, as you fade away.